Nitro Canine, real dog training. Greetings to dog lovers everywhere. You're listening to Nitro Canine's Real Dog Training. This is Dave Tucker, and today we're going to talk about the tail. What does a dog's tail signal? Nitro Canine is founded and operated by Steve Walter, the dog trainer extraordinaire right here in Seattle. Now, Steve has a worldwide following of dog lovers because of the experience he has with training dogs and the hot tips that he can provide you on your dog training journey. For more information, go to the website, nitrocanine.com, and read about Steve's experiences and all the success stories from the Nitro Canine team. So let's talk about the dog's tail. A wagging tail means a happy dog, right? Well, sometimes. Steve was training a Bernese Mountain Dog at the park the other day. It was the first session with a new client, and a woman came up to him and said, "Can't you see that dog's tail is going down whenever you walk it? And don't you know that means it's feeling anxious and unhappy?" Well, Steve was taken back that she had interrupted what was obviously a training session, so he tried to keep the conversation short. Unfortunately, this woman was a so-called positive trainer, the kind that never leaves the house without high-value food rewards. And Steve has little patience for rude people, much less those who think they can correct his training techniques based on having watched the last airing of the Westminster Dog Show. The big problem is that she was wrong. She was not seeing what she thought she saw. The little she did see wasn't enough to evaluate the dog's psychological state. Now, here's where she went wrong. Dog tails signal a variety of things, not just happiness or sadness. This is a gross oversimplification. When a dog does something new, it's perfectly normal for the tail to drop. The dog in question was dropping her tail on tight turns because she hadn't yet developed the confidence to keep her tail up, control her speed, and position her head and body around a corner. I mean, hey, it was her first day. People do this all the time. When I'm trying to learn a new song on the guitar, I often stick my tongue out a little. I'm not anxious, I'm focusing. When I'm trying to understand a technical document, I may squint and hold my head while I'm reading. But I'm not unhappy, I'm just trying to understand a new concept. In either case, I'm learning, just like the Bernese Mountain Dog, a beautiful dog, by the way, and we both may look a little less confident when we're training. It's okay to have a learning time. A dog that hasn't ever been over a hurdle may hesitate when he's not sure he can do it. This isn't anxiety or unhappiness just because his tail is down. It's just part of the training process. Often you'll see dogs drop their tails when they're coming out of leash pulling and learning how to heel. This is because the tail provides balance and the dog is learning to walk under control rather than impulse. And that's a good point. The tail is a tool, not a happy wagging sign. So let's talk about self-control and confidence. Wouldn't it be great if we could drive at 100 miles per hour wherever we went, just pedal to the metal and no worries at all? This is basically the same feeling experienced by a dog that pulls. They feel like they're in control, and why wouldn't they be 100% confident that that is what they're supposed to be doing? The dog suddenly pulls and lunges for people, even things to pee on. These dogs don't hesitate to pull you down or even drag you, and they do it confidently, and most often with their tail up high. In other words, no one has taught that dog self-control, the ability to focus on the handler and perform the expected behavior. This can be a real problem, and not just in terms of leash pulling. Some dogs can become confident that it's okay to attack the things they fear. This is not the confidence you want, and distraction-based food methods do absolutely nothing to correct the core problem. But let's say you're working on an auto sit, in which the dog automatically sits when the handler stops. A dog on the left side must learn to slow down to allow the handler to make a left turn, and vice versa for a dog on the right. It may appear that the dog is unhappy, but what is actually happening is the dog is learning self-control. He learns, for example, how to slow down and how to speed up and how to walk gently and loosely on the leash. And when they get it, they get it. And with absolute zero exception, they know they've got it and they're proud of themselves. This is the right kind of confidence. You can't simply look at the tail position in isolation and think you know how that dog feels or what he's capable of doing. Dogs' tails definitely go up and down, and this behavior is a moment-by-moment occurrence, and it can vary dramatically from one dog to the next. Some dogs raise their tails high to show dominance. Some dogs' tails are wagging and happy, and then they instantly attack another dog or a human. Some of the most confident dogs make no effort to carry their tail high. Now, yes, a raised tail is a sign of confidence most of the time. But is it the confidence that you want? Nitro Canine's goal is for dogs to be confident in their self-control, not confident that they can do whatever they want. And yes, a tail down can mean that a dog is nervous, scared, or unsure. But it can also mean a lot of other things, like they're learning something new, or even that they're super relaxed. And it's not just tails either. Have you seen all those so-called guides on the internet that show a picture of a dog and then tell you what the dog is feeling? Again, this is a gross oversimplification of canine behaviors. It's like assuming that if someone smiles, they're happy, when in fact, smiles can mean a lot of things. A person's expression may appear angry, but in fact, he may just be trying to remember all 7 items on the grocery list that he left at home. Like tails, these guidelines may have a kernel of truth, but in reality, it's a lot more complex than that. It depends on the breed, on the individual dog, and on the situation. Understanding how one dog's feelings differ from another's and being able to identify the root cause is what separates the amateurs from the professionals in dog training. Here's another example. Steve has been training a lovely Akita pup named Hilda. Hilda is very powerful and very sure of herself. She's also a lover. She loves to rub and lean and cuddle and kiss and be close. She's a normal, loved, well-trained dog. Now, if she leans into her handler for a cuddle, does this mean she's fearful or insecure, as many positive trainers would tell you? No. Hilda leans on her mom often when no training is going on. She just loves being close and couldn't be happier. Hilda also pulls her ears back when she's being petted or scratched, or when she's thinking and working hard. This would be the exact opposite of what many positive food trainers will tell you is okay. But this is just Hilda. With food, without food, she pulls her ears back when she's getting love or when she's concentrating. So take it with a grain of salt. Lots of people have opinions. Doesn't mean they're right. Lots of people want you to accept and comply with their opinions. Doesn't mean you should. The person who interrupted Steve may have had good intentions. The frightening thing is that she positions herself as an expert, when it's clear she's not. I don't want to say that all positive trainers are the same, but there does appear to be a trend. The typical Nitro Canine client comes in after 6 or more positive trainers. There are many reasons for this, which we'll address in another episode, but the big one is an inability to look at canine behavior beyond the Doggy Signals 101 cheat sheet, and to humanize the dog by assigning emotions to them that really aren't there. Both of the dogs I mentioned here are under a year old. They're happy, well-adjusted, loving dogs. A typical positive trainer's reaction with a Bernese Mountain Dog would be to use food to reward it out of its so-called anxiety. The result is the dog wouldn't develop self-control or the right kind of confidence. There would be no heeling or auto-sit, much less a solid recall. Chances are the dog would just continue pulling. Nitro Canine has a lot of people who show up after having spent a lot of money on so-called positive training, and their dogs can't do a simple sit without a treat. Simplistic signal reading would have led to the same issues with the Akita, creating a cycle of feeding treats and trying to either reduce anxiety and fear, which is actually simple affection. The dog would never learn self-control, and this could end up making the Akita a very aggressive dog. So does any of this sound familiar? There is an alternative. Whether you have a new puppy or you've been on a roller coaster ride with uneducated trainers like those I mentioned here, Nitro Canine can help you turn your dog into the confident, well-behaved canine rock star that he or she wants to be. Check out the webpage, nitrocanine.com. You'll see the Nitro Canine success stories there. You might also want to check out Nitro Canine on Instagram, and you'll see the loving faces of the dogs who are getting the proper training, as well as some videos of their trainers and their handlers walking them through their paces. If you've got a question for Steve, visit the Nitro Canine website. Just go to the Contact tab at the right top corner of the page and fill out the form. Make sure you let Steve know that you're listening to the podcast because he's very excited about this project. Be sure to catch our next episode. You won't want to miss this one. We'll be talking with Stephanie Welch, an apprentice for Nitro Canine. She'll be talking about her experience in training dogs as well as horses. If you've enjoyed this podcast, please subscribe and let your friends know about it as well, especially if they're interested in dogs and dog training. You've been listening to Nitro Canine's Real Dog Training. I'm Dave Tucker, reminding you that a trained dog is a happy dog, and at the other end of that leash is a happy dog lover. Nitro Canine, Real Dog Training.
Episodes of Real Dog Training are released on the 10th, 20th, and 30th of each month. For more information, go to nitrocanine.com.